Beruchim and Nimsaim, ladies, we are studying today's shi'ur in memory of Yitzhak ben Sophia Shafia, Ruach Hashem Tenichenu B'Gan Eden, dedicated by his grandson Eli Hanono, my good friend from Panama. It's actually his wife's grandfather. May HaKadosh Baruch Hu take the Divrei Torah, and Be'ezrat Hashem, it'll serve as a Ilui Neshama for the Niftar, and to all those that made the dedication, Eli and his family. V'atem debekim b'Adonai Elohechem chayim kolechem hayom, amen ve'amen. We have a double header again this week in the Parashiyot. We read two Parashiyot. One is Behar and one is Behukotai. I don't think we're going to have enough time to talk about both Parashiyot because they're packed. So we'll talk about Parashat Behar this year. And next year, when Behukotai comes around, if somebody will remind me, that I'll make sure to say something about Behukotai. The crux of the Parashah talks about a mitzvah that doesn't relate to us too much. I'm going to have to figure out a way how to get it to relate to us, because you didn't come to class to hear things that don't relate to you. The subject is Shemita. What is Shemita? Torah says like this: if a person lives in Israel and he has a farm, so he works the field. It's a mitzvah to work the land of Israel. It's a mitzvah to produce the products of Israel, the different fruit and vegetables and wheat and barley and grains. But the Torah says 6 years you could work. But in the 7th year, the farmer must take a forced vacation. He's not allowed to work. In English, they call it a sabbatical. You know, it's almost like the regular Shabbat that we have. 6 days we go to work, and the 7th day we rest. So what Shabbat is in days, Shemitah is in years. You have 6 years where the farmer works, and the 7th year, he's not allowed to work. And if he goes to work anyway, it's avon. It's a big sin, it's haram. The Torah has a great punishment. Heaven forbid if somebody works during the Shemitah year. The Gemara says, a person that works during the Shemitah year eventually is going to lose his money. And he's going to become so destitute that he's not going to have what to eat. And he's going to be forced to sell himself as a slave. And not any old slave, but what the Torah calls Eker. Eker means he's going to have to sell himself to the church to go work for the Avodah Zarah just in order to feed himself. So the Torah takes this law very seriously. And it still applies till today. Yeah, just the farmers, just the landowners who have farms, exactly. It doesn't apply to us in America, only to the people in Israel. It can affect us, and I'll tell you how in a minute. Last year happened to be a year of Shemitah in Israel. And the religious farmers follow the law of the Torah, and they took the year off. The question is first, why? Why would the Torah mandate such a law, which means we need to understand the logic? So I'd like to offer to you some common answers that are given, and then maybe if we're lucky, we could say something that's a little elevated. You deserve to hear something a little extra today because you came out on a rainy day. So we have to say something to your credit. The simple interpretations are as follows. Harambam writes, the land gets tired. The land gets worn out. If you constantly plant every year without stop, and you don't give the land a break, eventually all the nutrients that are in the land, they become weakened. They become drained from the ground. So in order to replenish the nutrients of the ground, Torah says, every 7 years, give it a break, let it replenish itself. Now, that's a great reason, and it's a reason, that farmers can probably understand. But there has to be something deeper than that. It's not only advice, farming advice. So a great rabbi called the Sefer HaChinuch, he says another reason. He says like this. It's a lesson in reminding us that God created the world. And the land belongs to God. Why? Because why is the farmer not working on the 7th year? Because God told him. Which God is really sending a very strong message, the land is my land. You're only a tenant, but I'm the landlord. And therefore, just like when a landlord brings a tenant into his apartment or his house, he gives him a lease. And he tells him, this is the rules. No loud music, no noise after 10 o'clock, no blocking the driveway, doing things without asking permission. A whole list of conditions. So God said, I'm the landlord. You want to live in the land of Israel? You follow my rules. In the 7th year, I'm telling you, you have to take a sabbatical. It reminds us that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world. The world didn't just come from dust or from evolution. The world didn't just evolve like the secular scientists want to tell us that 47 billion years ago there was some type of big explosion, and after the explosion the world was just showed up. This is ludicrous. From an explosion you don't have something positive. From an explosion you have destruction. How could you have an explosion that creates a world? And they come along and say, originally we came from the monkeys. That was the original man. Maybe they came from the monkeys, I don't know. I didn't come from a monkey. And they say, and then the monkey evolved. Eventually, as it developed, it became a little more human until we have the final product, humans. Okay, we don't subscribe to any of this. We subscribe to the first pasuk in the Torah, Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Finished. It's as simple as that. So the Shemita is a lesson in emunah. It's a lesson in faith. It's my land. You remember when we were young, they taught us a song in school. It's not a good song, but this is what they taught us. This land is my land. This land is your land. I'm sorry to tell you, it's not your land and it's not his land. The land belongs to God, property of God, like we say in the Berachah, the Amidah, Koneh Hakol. God owns everything. Therefore, it's not up to us to decide what we're going to do. You cannot say, I'm working anyway. Hey, you don't own it. Follow the rules. Otherwise, God forbid, it says in the Torah, those that don't fulfill the laws of Shemita, what does God do? He ousts the Jewish people out of the land. Because there's a breach in the contract. Hey, I gave you a lease to live in the land of Israel. You're not following the law? Breach of contract. And God forbid, God evicts us from the land. That's another interpretation. A third interpretation is, our primary purpose for coming into this world is not to work, not to make a living. I agree, we need to make a living. We cannot neglect it totally, but that's not what we came here for. Our primary function is to get from here to eternity. That's the whole goal. How do we get from here to eternity? Mitzvot, like you're doing now, charity, good deeds, acts of kindness. We came to this world to elevate our souls so we can get a bigger piece of Olam Haba, as we call it. But in the interim, you need money. You need to eat, you need to dress, you need to have a house. So we have to go to work, but going to work is like, it's a necessary evil. You have to do it, but it is definitely not our primary vocation or primary career. As a career, we're Jews. That's our career. What am I? I'm a Jew. I'm a Jew that happens to have to go to work once in a while to make a living for my family. But I'm a Jew. That's my primary job. Farming is a very difficult job. They're up at the crack of dawn when it's still dark outside, and they have to work very, very long hours, and it's very, very strenuous work. Plowing the ground and planting the ground, and they have to walk, acres and acres of land, and then they have to cut the wheat and thresh the wheat and winnow it, and it's really backbreaking. By the time 6 o'clock comes, when they finally retire for the night, they're too tired to go study Torah. They're zonked. And they know they have to be up tomorrow morning at 4 a.m. So there's no time for them really to develop their spiritual career. You're right, you have Shabbat, that's what Shabbat's for. Shabbat's a day off, okay, they can go to the Torah, they can go to the shul, they can go to the yeshiva, but our Torah is so worried that maybe the farmer is going to get so involved in his agriculture that his neshama is going to be neglected. So what does the Torah say? During the 7th year, you can't go to work. What is he going to do? He's going to drive his wife crazy all day long, he's not going to go to work. So the logic of the Torah is, no, don't stay home and drive them crazy. Go to the yeshiva, go to the kollel, go to the synagogue. Now you could stay there a little extra. You might be able to go to an extra class. You're not so tired anymore. Now you could spend the year to catch up to all the 6 years that you neglected because it wasn't your fault, you're working, in order that you should be able to tend to your spiritual needs. Oh, that makes a lot of sense for me. It's a good law. Because the Torah is very fair. The Torah wants a person to get the most olam haba he can get. So he says, you know what? It's a forced sabbatical. Don't go to work. Spend time in the yeshiva. There's another interpretation. I'm saving my interpretation for the last one. But I'm just giving you a little, just to whet your palates, so you have an idea of what Shemita is. Some say, you know what the logic of Shemita is? It's a lesson in faith. That's a very important lesson because forget about fields. We can't relate to fields. We don't have fields. We live in Brooklyn. We're lucky if we have a little patch of grass in front of our homes. We're happy. So we cannot relate to what does it mean having a field and acres and all this. But imagine you have a store, a retail store. Retail store. Now I know what you're talking about. And you make an income. The store's open 6 days a week. There's customers. And all of a sudden the Torah says, okay, every 7 years you have to close the retail store. You can't open up. What do you mean you can't open up? I have to go to work. I have to pay the bills. I have a mortgage. I have the tuition. I have, listen, I'm God. I run the world. It's not your store. It's my store. I'm partners with you. You're closing. Okay, you're partners with me, but where am I going to get a paycheck from? So a person really needs a lot of faith to close a store for a year. Where are you going to live? Where are you going to make money from? A person really needs to have a lot of emunah to trust that God will somehow give him the sustenance. God will provide. And that's really the test of Shemita. God says, I want to see who's loyal to me. Don't question me. Don't challenge me. Don't work the field for a year. And God says, you will see, you'll be blessed. Nobody ever starved by keeping Shemitah. On the contrary, those that kept the Shemitah, they got blessed. They received extra. And those that did not, because they didn't have faith, they said, I can't do it. It doesn't make any sense to me. I'm not going to be able to make it. Those that went to work during Shemitah, in the long run, they lost it. I think I once told you, many moons ago, during this class, there was a religious community in Israel called Komemiyut. Komemiyut is the name of the community. And it's a farming community. What's so special about the people of Komemiyut? They're religious farmers. A religious farmer doesn't mean he has a beard. It means they're religious. They keep Shabbat. They keep Kashrut. They keep all the laws. And when Shemitah comes around, everybody knows the people of Komemiyut, they close up the fields, finished, put a big sign up, out of business, see you in 1 year. They follow the law meticulously. And anytime they would have a question, in the olden days, they would ask the great Rabbi Hazon Ish. He was the great Rabbi of Bnei Barak, and he would tell them, this you're allowed, this you're not allowed, and they didn't compromise an inch. They really followed the law to the T. And there was an open miracle that happened to this community of Komemiyut. It's a miracle that's documented. There's pictures of it, so you don't have to take my word. You could probably go on the internet and put on the Google search over there, Komemiyut, Israel farming community, whatever it may be, and they'll show you the pictures even of what I'm talking about. I saw the pictures with my own eyes. What happened? 1 year, Komemiyut is in the middle. To the right of it is an irreligious farming community. To the left of it, an irreligious farming community. There was a plague of locust. Baruch Hashem, we don't know what locust is, but when these things attack, they attack by the millions. And they just come, the wind blows them from who knows where, from Gehinam, and all of a sudden they come into their place and they ravage. They eat everything. They scrape the paint off the cars. The biggest damage is done from these grasshoppers, from these locusts. It doesn't leave anything. You see a field before the locust comes, beautiful, green, gorgeous, the wheat, the stalks. You see it 5 minutes after the locust, gone. There's nothing left. They eat everything, and the destruction is to the highest degree. They got infested. This area of Israel got infested with a locust plague like you never saw before. They showed the pictures. To the right, there's locust. To the left, there's locust. In the middle, there's not one locust. It's as if there was an imaginary line that the locust said, here we're not allowed to go. Here it's haram. These people are fulfilling the Shemita. We cannot, they didn't go, not one locust went into Komemiyut. Everybody around them, they lost all the profits and all the work and all the labor. And these guys, you see, they took a picture from the helicopter. You can't imagine the picture. You see on the right and left the worst things taking place, the most miserable things, and right in the center, zero. Who told the locusts don't go over there? But Olam says, listen, these guys don't deserve to be punished. They're following the Shemitah. So you see this tremendous, and this open miracle, mamash open miracle. But I want to tell you something a little deeper about the Shemitah. But I have to ask you, please, you have to take my word for what I'm telling you. Because it's going to sound strange to you. It sounded strange to me also the first time when I read it. But I got used to believing it already. It's going to take you time also to believe what I'm saying. So, if you're resisting it in the beginning, that's normal. You're going to say, well, this guy's out of his mind. What is he talking about? That's fine. I also thought like that. But Baruch Hashem, today I'm recovered. You'll also be recovered soon. Just go slow. We're all waiting for Mashiach, Be'ezat Hashem. We hope for a redemption. For whatever reason. Everybody has a reason why they want the redemption. For the Geulah. For the redemption. The holy books say, in Gemara, when God created the world, before Adam HaRishon sinned, it was a different world than it is today. We're living after the sin. So we cannot relate to a world before the sin. Nobody ever, our parents never saw it, our grandparents never saw it, our great-grandparents never saw it. Our great-grandparents, they tell us stories. They remember that they used to go to the movie for a nickel. But that's still after the sin of Adam HaRishon. They never say, I remember the world before the sin. What do you mean? No, nobody. Not the people for 2,000 years ago. It doesn't matter. Nobody ever lived in that time. So we can't ask anybody what it was like. So the Gemara tells us what it was like. Because the rabbis had divine wisdom. The Gemara says, before the sin of Adam HaRishon, the earth was blessed. After the sin of Adam HaRishon, after he ate from the tree, you remember God cursed Adam, God cursed Eve, God cursed the snake, and God cursed the ground. The ground is cursed because of you. What does it mean, cursing the ground? God called the ground names? No. Cursing the ground means you're going to produce product very, very difficultly. It's going to be very hard to get a product to come out of the ground. You know how hard it is to make a loaf of bread? We go to the bakery, we ask them for a loaf of bread, they give it to us at the $2. $2, we go crazy. You know how hard it is to make that bread? The farmer, the Gemara says, has to go through 10 different processes just to make it dough. And then he has to bake it. Baking it is the 11th. He has to plow. He has to, after he plows the ground, he puts the seeds in the ground. And then he plows it again. Then he waits for it to grow. Then he has to cut it. Then he has to thresh it. After he threshes it, he has to separate the chaff of the wheat from the kernel. Most of the wheat is garbage. The good part of the wheat is the little kernel. The big stalk, you say, oh, what a big wheat. Oh, the wheat is this big. You have to crack it open. Then you have to separate the good from the bad. And you have to sift it again and select it. And then, now what do you have? You just have kernels. What do you do with kernels? Now you have to grind it. And then you have to make flour. The whole process just to get one measly piece of bread. It's a long. That's the cursed ground that we're talking about. And that's the same way that any product, you want to make an apple tree, you got to take seeds, you got to plow, you got to put it in, plow it again, you have to nurture it, you have to grow it, you need to work it. It's not as hard as bread, I agree. But still, it takes work. But before the curse, the ground would produce finished products. Okay, I know it. I told you. I know it. I told you you're not going to believe me. Which means the bread used to come out of the ground ready. Yeah, also bagels. Everything would come out of the ground in its finished product. You would go to the tree, and you would have donuts growing from the tree. You take the donut, you would have a glazed donut tree, it has a jelly donut tree, whatever donuts they had. But everything was finished. It was a finished product. You didn't need to do anything. It just grew. But you ask somebody, who plowed this ground? What do you mean? Plowed? Who plowed? No one has to plow. We don't know what plowing is. This is the way the world is. Just things come out of the ground. But I want a tomato. Oh, tomato, you got to go down to that place over there. That's where the tomatoes grow. Oh, can I speak to the farmer? There's no farm over here. What's farmer? There's no farm. There's no sins over here. The world was so perfect. It's unbelievable. Once Adam sinned, all the Dunkin' Donut trees, no more. All the fruit that were growing, no more. Now God says, now you have to work for a living. No longer things are going to come out of the ground like that. But guess what? When Mashiach comes, Be'ezat Hashem, the world is going to go back to the original way it was. Now, we can't appreciate it. The farmer is going to appreciate it a lot. He's going to say, what do you mean? No more work. That's it. You're done. But how is it going to grow? It's going to grow by itself. But who's going to tend to it? Who's going to fertilize it? Nothing. Borei Olam created the world perfect. The ground is on automatic. It just produces food in its finished product. It's going to be done. Just think. It doesn't prove that I'm right, but just think for a second. What's the beracha that you make on bread? Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. The God, you bring bread from the earth. He brings bread from the earth? He doesn't bring bread from the earth. We should say, you bring wheat from the earth. And then we got to do 10 things to it to make it edible. But that beracha is already prepared for us when Mashiach comes. Because when Mashiach comes, it's going to be literal. Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. You're going to go to the field, and you see bread. You pluck it off the tree, and we'll see the lechem min haaretz and eat it. It's going to be like that. And this, I could show you the Gemara. The Gemara says, Atida Eretz Yisrael. להוציא גרוסקאות ולחמים, muffins and different type of mizanot type of foods, pastries, all these things. All going to go from the ground. Cheesecake also, maybe, I don't know. Ladies, whatever you like is going to grow. Don't worry about it. There can be a big menu. No. But my point is like this. There was a world that was before Adam's sin, and there's the world that will be. That's when Mashiach comes. Unfortunately, in the present, we're living under the curse. So we can't even imagine such a blessing, such a bounty, such a beauty. And the reason why God's going to make it so easy is because He wants to free us up so we can study Torah. That's the main thing. We're working in the field all day long, study Torah, do spiritual things, and so on and so forth. So listen to what I'm going to tell you now about Shemita. Remember I told you a few weeks ago that sometimes we do things today that are like a sneak preview for what it's going to be like when Mashiach comes? Remember I told you at the Brit Milah, Eliyahu HaNavi comes. So I told you when Eliyahu HaNavi comes to the Brit Milah, I said it's like a dress rehearsal for when Mashiach's going to come. Because Eliyahu HaNavi is going to come with the Mashiach. So it's like we're making a little practice run for the redemption. Every time Shemita comes, it's like a prelude or a sneak preview or like a coming attractions to what the world is going to be like when Mashiach comes. The farmers are not going to have to work. Everybody's just going to be able to sit down and leave their fields grow fallow. I agree. It doesn't mean every time we do Shemitah, donuts are growing from the trees. You're right. We didn't get to that level yet. But in a certain sense, we're already, we could smell already the Mashiach when Shemitah comes. Already we could feel, oh yeah, this is the way the world is going to be. You're going to go into the Beit Midrash. You're going to see a farmer sitting there with his overalls. He's got big blue overalls and a straw hat, and he's sitting in the Beit Midrash reading. You say, excuse me, sir, aren't you Farmer Rabinowitz? Yes. What are you doing in the Beit Midrash? How come you don't go work the field? Oh, no, we don't work. The field runs by itself. I'm sitting learning Torah now. Don't you know this is the Shemitah year? That's the way it's going to be when Mashiach comes. Nobody's going to have to run the fields. They're all going to run by themselves. And everybody will be able to sit and learn Torah. The world is going to be perfected. That's why the Torah says, Shabbat LaHashem. Shemitah is called a sabbatical for God, LaHashem. You know why that's so? I'm going to tell you a secret now about the name of God. Yud Ke Vav Ke. Yud Ke Vav Ke. Shabbat LaHashem. Shabbat for Yud Ke Vav Ke, for the name of God. I've told you many secrets about the name of God, Yud Ke Vav Ke. When you say that holy name, I don't want to say it because I cannot say it. It's a holy name, but think of the name, Yud Ke Vav Ke. Ador, we say it. Nai, yes. What are you supposed to think of when you say that holy name of God? Here, we have it here. You see it over Yud Ke Vav Ke, the name of God. You all know what it is. What are you supposed to think of when you say it? Oh, you know everything. You know everything. What do I have to come here for? Everybody knows everything already. God bless you, ladies. God bless you. God bless you. And you're always right. That's the amazing thing. You're always right. Whenever you say Hashem's name, you're supposed to think of Haya, Hoveh, Yehyeh. God was, God is, and God will be. You see, if you look at the name Yud Ke Vav Ke, look at the three last letters. It spells Hoveh. Hoveh means now in the present. God is. You can also look at the Yud, the He, and the Yud in the He spells Yehyeh. It has the letters Yehyeh. And it also has the letters He, Yud, He, which is Haya. Was. So when you say that name, Yud Ke Vav Ke, it has all the letters of God was, God is, and God will be. Like the Pasuk says, Ani Rishon va'ani Aharon u'mebil'adai en Elohim. I'm the first one, and I'm the last one, and there's nobody in between me. Which means God was here from the beginning, God is still here, and God is going to be there till the end. In English there's a word for that. Eternal. God is eternal. Eternal means forever. It means He didn't just show up in 1943. No, He's been around all the way. And God is not planning on going anywhere. It's not like He says, listen, I'm only going to be here till 2011 and then that's it, I quit. No, God is Haya. He was from the beginning. Hoveh, He is right now. He's still here. And here is going to be in the future. Shemitah is called Shabbat LaHashem because Shemitah connects us to the past and to the future. Just like Yud Ke Vav Ke, the name of God, is past, present, future. When we fulfill the Shemitah in the present, it links us to the past. Which past? Before Adam HaRishon sinned. To when the world was perfect. And there was no avonot, and the land was perfect. And it links us also to the future, to when Mashiach is going to come and the world is going to reach that perfection again. Hence, the Pasuk writes, and now I'll quote it inside for you, when the Torah says, right in the beginning of the Parashar, Ki tavo el haaretz, asher ani noten lachem, when you go into the land that I am going to give you, v'shabeta haaretz Shabbat l'Adonai, and you're going to have a sabbatical, and the sabbatical is going to be called the Shabbat LaHashem. Because just like God is past, present, future, when you look at the field of the Shemita year, it reminds you of the past, of the way the world used to be before Adam Rishon, and it gives us excitement for the future. It links these things together. And by the way, not only does the Shemitah do that, but that's every Shabbat. Shabbat, today's Thursday. Shabbat, few days is going to be. We have 3 meals that we eat on Shabbat. You're supposed to have a meal, Friday night dinner, as we call it, Shabbat Seudah. And then we have Shabbat lunch, of course, and then Seudah Shlishit. Everybody should have 3 meals on Shabbat. Even if you're on a diet, there's no diets on Shabbat. Somebody once said, you don't gain weight on Shabbat. That was somebody that wanted to eat a lot. So they made up a new halakha. Don't worry, you don't eat. So good, if it makes them feel good, let them say whatever they want to say. You probably gain weight on Shabbat, but that shouldn't stop you from eating the 3 meals on Shabbat. And the rabbis tell us, the 3 meals on Shabbat, each meal corresponds to another Shabbat of history. What do I mean to say? There are 3 famous Shabbatot in history. The first Shabbat in history is the most famous Shabbat. That's the first one. That's when God created the world. He created it in 6 days and rested on the 7th. That's called Shabbat Bereshit. Oh, the first Shabbat in history was the holiest Shabbat. It was the holiest Shabbat because there was no Hilul Shabbat. Nobody desecrated the Shabbat on that day. It was only Adam and Hava. And they were Shomanei Shabbat. They kept the Shabbat meticulously. What a perfection that Shabbat was. There was another perfect Shabbat. It might be the second perfect Shabbat in history. And that was the Shabbat that we received the Torah. In a few weeks we're going to celebrate Shavuot. Shavuot, we got the Torah. Which day of the week did we get the Torah? On Shabbat. Yeah, imagine that. We woke up Saturday morning, Shabbat morning. Moshe Rabbeinu said, okay, when Moshe Rabbeinu was on the mountain, but Aharon and all the tzaddikim said, okay, Rabotai, you got it. You have a meeting with God at the mountain. Shabbat today. Shabbat. We work on Shabbat. This is Torah. Come to the mountain. And God gave us the Torah on Shabbat. It says that Shabbat was a perfect Shabbat. There was no averot. God spoke to us on that Shabbat. Anochi Hashem Elokecha, I am God that took you out of Egypt. There will be no other gods besides me. We heard the word of God. In the history, no Jew ever reached such a level like Shabbat of Matan Torah. That's lunch. When you sit down to have the Seudah of lunch, the Shabbat meal, that already reminds us of, this is connected to Shabbat of Matan Torah. And then Seudah Shlishit. That's the highest level. Seudah Shlishit. Those that are lucky, that know the secrets of the world, they're very careful on Seudah Shlishit. Because that Shabbat represents the Shabbat of the future when Mashiach comes. When Mashiach comes, there's going to be a tremendous Kedusha. It's going to be a very long Shabbat-like. It's going to be just spirituality and just tremendous peace and tranquility. That's the Shabbat of, like Olam Haba. Eternity. That's going to be a big Shabbat. We say in Birkat HaMazon, Rahamanu yanchilenu liyom shekulo Shabbat. We're waiting for the day that's going to be a big Shabbat, a long Shabbat. So there's 3 Shabbats. Shabbat Bereshit, that's the original one. Shabbat Matan Torah, that's when we receive the Torah. And in the future. And then of course, I forgot the Shabbat, that's obvious, the Shabbat that we're in. There's the Shabbat of the present, which means there's always the Shabbat that you're up to. In 2 days from now, you'll be in the Shabbat. So the Shabbat, what does it do to us? Shabbat connects us to the previous Shabbatot. Shabbat of Bereshit, oh, perfect. The Shabbat of Matan Torah, oh, perfect. And it links us to the future Shabbat. Shabbat of Mashiach, Shabbat of Olam Haba. That's why we also say Shabbat LaHashem, just like God is Hayah, Hoveh, Yehyeh. God was, He is, and will be. And just like Shemita, the Sabbath will remind us of how the world was before Adam and Rishon, and how the world is going to be in the future. The Shemitah is the link between past, present, and future. Shabbat also is that link. Shabbat LaHashem, Hayah, Hoveh, Yehyeh. But listen to what I'm going to tell you now. Our rabbis tell us that the world cannot exist more than 6,000 years. That's the maximum. From when Adam Rishon was born till today, we are 5,769 years into the process. Now, let's assume that the world is going to go to the end. I hope it doesn't. But let's say it does. Let's say it goes all the way to the end before Mashiach comes. That's not too much longer. 5,769. Very good. Even the math, you're right. That's 231 years. That's not a long time. You understand? We've been waiting 5,700. That's a long time. The most we can wait more is only a measly 231 years. That's nothing. Yes? But let me explain to you what the holy books say about the 6,000 years. Each one of the 1,000 years represents one of the days of the week. From 0 to 1,000 was Sunday. And then the next 1,000 millennium was Monday. And then Tuesday. Once we entered 5,000, so already we're by Friday. Because once you start 5,000, you're in the 6th millennium. You're starting the 6th, counting the 6,000. It means 5,000 years you count. Now you're starting 5,001. That means already you're in the 6th millennium. So in the year 5,000, we entered Friday. In the year 5,500, we entered Friday at midday. Friday at 12 o'clock. When we got to the year 5750, we're already towards the end of the Friday, where, let's say from 12 o'clock is midday, let's say Shabbat starts at 6, for our case. At 5750, it's about 3:30 in the afternoon. So right now, we're past that time, because we're not 5750. We're 5769. We're 19 years after. So we're about 4 o'clock in the afternoon on Friday. That means it's almost Shabbat. Shabbat means Mashiach. We're at the end of the week here. It's Friday at 4 o'clock. Now the reason why I tell you this is because the Gemara says, I wish I could talk. I have to catch a flight right after this class. So I need to run out, and the time is late already. But it needs to be elaborated B'ezrat Hashem at another time. But I'm just going to tell it to you the way I'm able to now. The Gemara says, whoever works on Friday, Misha Tarach b'Shabbat, Misha Tarach b'Erev Shabbat, Yochal b'Shabbat. Whoever toils on Friday will eat on Shabbat. Which means all the preparations for Shabbat are done on Friday. You need to set the table, you need to bake the halot, you need to prepare the urn of the hot water, you need to prepare the food, you need to prepare the flowers, you need to, you clean the house, whatever it needs. That once Shabbat comes, however, That's it. You cannot do anything. Once Shabbat comes, you cannot say, oh, I forgot to put the Behar in the oven, in the fire. It's too late. You can't do that now. Shabbat. But what do you mean? We have to have Hamdat Yamim. We can't. You cannot have. It's too late. Too late. So whoever prepares on Friday will eat on Shabbat. Once Shabbat comes, you cannot say, oh, I was busy. It's too late. No food. You know why God does that to us? He makes a Friday to prepare, and then a Shabbat to enjoy what we prepared, to remind us that there's going to be another type of Shabbat. That's going to be the Shabbat of eternity, of Olam Haba. And right now is considered before the Shabbat. This is the world where we prepare for the Shabbat. Once we get to eternity, game over. There's no more, well, I want to do another good deed. Too late. This is the world that we prepare for Olam Haba. And that's the purpose. And that's the goal. So you might not be able to understand that when I talk about Olam Haba, preparing, but you can understand it when I talk about Friday, Saturday. Now you understand. You got to prepare. Somebody comes on Friday night. Oh, mommy, can I have some hot tea? Oh, I forgot to turn on the urn. That's it, cold water. Or somebody comes on Shabbat afternoon. Where's the hameen? Oh, I forgot to turn on the crock pot. That's it. Cold food, nothing to talk about. You didn't prepare on Friday. Now you understand. Where's my suit? Oh, I didn't pick it up from the cleaners. Well, you have to wear last week's suit with the stains of the tahina on it. There's nothing you can talk. You can't. It's too late. You didn't prepare. So just like whoever doesn't prepare on Friday cannot benefit on Shabbat. Whoever doesn't prepare in this world cannot have anything on Shabbat. You cannot just fool around in this world and go and gallivant all over the place and just have a party all the time. And then when it comes to that, I'm ready. What are you ready? Where's your tokens? Where's your good deeds? I'm ready to do it now. Now you're ready to do it. Too late. The curtain is closed. There's nothing to talk about now. Now, this is the world of reward. Oh. But I'm telling you now something even more serious. The world is holding by Friday at 4 o'clock. 57:69. That's already Friday at the end of Friday. Now I want to ask you a question. Let's say Shabbat would be at 6. And one Friday afternoon, I don't know, you were in a deep sleep. And you woke up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. You look at, what? I overslept. It's 4 o'clock, Shabbat Israel. I didn't do anything for Shabbat. How much panic? 2 hours. You have to run to the store, buy the food, prepare. You have 2 hours before Shabbat's going to come in any second. You need to prepare. How important, how overriding, nothing else means anything to you. And somebody will call you at 4:15, come playing checkers. Checkers? What do you mean checkers? I'm preparing for the Shabbat. I didn't even make the food yet. But what do you mean? We always play checkers. But not today. We cannot play checkers anymore. It's 4 o'clock. It's urgent. The world now is at 4 o'clock. There has to be a sense of urgency that Shabbat's going to happen soon. But the only difference in my example is, on the real Shabbat, you know you have 2 hours. But in the Olam Haba, it could happen tomorrow. Let it happen tomorrow, but you have to be ready. Which means we don't know. It could be 2 hours, it could be half hour. So therefore there must be a sense of urgency that we're prepared. I'm not saying you should become paranoid, but the world that we're in is a world of need, a world of action. Therefore you have to grab as much as you can grab in the mitzvot like you're doing now. I don't have to tell it to you, you're doing it. To grab as many mitzvot as you can, to put it in the bank account, so when Shabbat comes, you'll be ready. Mishetarach be'erev Shabbat, yochal b'Shabbat. This is something that you should be reminded it's going to happen very fast. Just like Shabbat happens very fast. Maybe you know what I'm talking about. But on my calendar, you know how my week is, the calendar? My calendar is Sunday, Thursday, Friday. It always seems it's Shabbat. It's always Thursday. Well, Shabbat's already here. We're just Shabbat now. But what happened to Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday? Somehow it just gets lost somewhere. So the calendar always is Sunday. Oh, I say Sunday. I have a long time for Shabbat. Over some before Thursday, Shabbat again. How'd it go? What happened to the middle? You see how fast it goes? Shabbat just creeps up on us. Oh, it's right there. That's the way this Mashiach and all it's going to creep up. So you have to be ready. This is the world of action. There was one rabbi, and I'm just telling you the story and I have to go. There was one rabbi, I'm not recommending this. He was walking in the rain, running. He didn't have an umbrella. They told him, Rabbi, how come you don't have an umbrella? He says, a soldier in the war doesn't walk around with an umbrella. What does it mean to say? He's right. Did you ever see pictures of soldiers that are fighting in Iraq? Let's say it's raining. You think they're going to walk around with umbrellas in the middle of the war? Let it rain. We're fighting a war now. Excuse me, you have an umbrella? He's fighting with a gun like this, walking with an umbrella? They don't walk around with an umbrella. So he says, I came into this world, there's a war. There's an evil inclination trying to fight me and take away my eternity. I'm fighting for my life. What am I going to walk around with an umbrella? I don't have to worry about it. They're fighting the Yitzhak. You understand? They lived a life where they knew there's a sense of urgency. They must get the job done. Baruch Hashem, you should feel very good because you're doing it. You come to classes, you're raising kosher homes, you're doing all your acts of charity from the charity group that we started a few weeks ago, Baruch Hashem. And I want to give you a report on that just right when I finish. In all your good deeds, Baruch Hashem, you're banking all good things. Yeah. But don't be satisfied. Do more. I'm talking to myself. You can never be satisfied. You need to, because once the world of deed finishes, you cannot put the crock pot on anymore. You cannot put anything in the oven. It is what it is. So therefore, even though we might not have a Shemita of fields, but the Shemita of the fields reminds us of the Shabbat that we do have. The Shabbat, the 7-day week. The next time you're in the kitchen on Friday and you're preparing, and you feel that sense of urgency when you're running to do your Shabbat preparations, you should think for a second. This is only a lesson for me to really prepare for my real Shabbat. Just like I'm all excited now, getting everything ready, I have to get ready for the real Shabbat. That's not with Chali and the Machshis. That's with the Mitzvot. That's with the good deeds. That already is something. Yes, you have to prepare physically for the Shabbat, but you have to be spiritually ready for the ultimate Shabbat. Good. Yiratzon, we should be zocher to accomplish this over here. And you're doing it. Continue to do it. Now I want to tell you good news. A few months ago we started the Sephardic Women's Charity Club. I'm not a member of it, obviously, but I do oversee it to make sure that everything is being done correctly. Right before Pesach, you ladies, with the dollars and a couple of donations that you made in your pouches, I was able to give a check to the Sephardic Food Fund right before Pesach for about $2,000. They were so great. Where did this come from? From some ladies that are putting dollars in a pouch. The guy said, I don't know what you're talking about, but we don't have to understand it. Just give us the check. And they bought money. With the money, they bought food for the poor people on Pesach. Unbelievable. You should feel so proud that your money went straight from your pouches to the mouths of the anim of this community. Last week, we finished another month of the Sephardic Women's Charity Club. And I got another check of $2,000. I went to my mother, God bless her, I think she's here today. She's here, I see her. Who's on the board of directors of Bikur Holim. And I asked her, I want to give this to Bikur Holim on behalf of the ladies, but I wanted to go not get lost in, somewhere in an account. My mother went diligently, and she found a specific case that needs money, meaning from the account to the person, direct, without any stopovers, no direct flight. But anybody chiseling in the interim, no squirrels. And Baruch Hashem, we did it. So, in just 2 months, we gave about $4,000 of found money to 2 community institutions. We're just beginning. Our goal is we want to get $5,000 a month. Not from you ladies, but we have to register more women to the group. And who knows, this is going to be a big thing. The president of Bikurim sent me a letter. He only sent it to me because I gave him the check, but he addressed it to the Sephardic Women's Charity Club. Thank you, we appreciate it. And the Food Fund sent me a letter as well. I hope we've printed somewhere, maybe in a magazine, so everybody can see these letters. It's working. The dream that we had a few weeks ago, months ago, it's coming to fruition, and already it's becoming the dream is being fulfilled. So I want to give you a Chazak Baruch. Keep it up. You changed, without you knowing it, you changed the life of many people already in the community. You made it much more pleasant to be in the community. And may God bless you that you should always be in the position to give and not to have to receive. You should always be on the giving end of charity. Okay, ladies, I must go. Chazak Baruch.